Hello viewers, welcome to a virtual layout tour and track plan overview of the layout, and I'm joined by the one and only Catzilla, who will be working her way around and exploring the layout as we go. Sit back and relax. It'll only take a few minutes. This is the kind of overview of the layout as you enter the room. And it is different in the previous design in many different ways. If you really want to see the old design, you'll just basically have to go back and look at previous videos. We'll go into depth of what's changed in some areas in a moment, but this is the overview to start with. The entrance to the layout looks a lot like this, and this is about the general overview that you get. You enter the layout, and as obvious, it's not complete yet. Most layouts are probably never really fully complete. Some final kits are being built, some other odds and ends, more detailing, and obviously plans for a bigger layout in the future, but this is what we'll work with for now. To get to the center of the layout, it's a basically have to crawl on the floor to get underneath, which is good because I'm young still, but I'd rather have around the room without the crawl under in a future layout, but that's much in the future. The dimensions for the layout is approximately 9 feet 3 inches long, 7 feet 2 inches wide, and the workspace that you see here, the foam space, the scenes rather, for the layout across are 2 feet, exactly 2 feet. The layout more or less begins in this corner. This is more or less where a staging would occur and a train would enter, but don't have an option for that. This is similar to the old design of the layout. It's practically the only thing that did not change other than the roadbed and track. The design here is the same. There used to be a bridge that went over the rails here and a curve off to the right. There was a station here, which will be shown later. There was a different station and a different design. Track used to come in over here, and this would spur off and terminate here, while the main line would curve around. Now it is a more city plan. Have a bridge here. Sometimes they'll pose a couple engines or cars on it just for added scenery. But I've always been a fan of a train going under the bridge type scene. And sometimes I'll take videos of the models from the bridge. So we'll work our way around to the least scenic part of the railroad, which is more or less just a empty space for now. Probably a hill or something along those lines. Exiting the city and passing the uncompleted corner, you have a curved switch which goes towards the industry, or two industries rather, Hillside Lumber, and then this is one of the Menards diesel shops, but for our sake we're going to use it as a freight storage house. This corner used to be the city terminus where the station would end with 3 stub tracks. Has been taken up. It has now been changed to a small town scene, a little downtown gas station of course, and a diner. This is the only named town on the layout, which is Chester, which is what came with the depot name. The rest of the cities and towns have no name as of now. Departing Chester comes by a country scene with some fields and trees and power lines, and comes into this unnamed town, which has a spur which we'll get to later, and then curves around to a siding and another station, and then the two tracks meet again over here for meeting the spur along the station, and then we've gone completely around the layout. This spur track comes off and is known as the grain spur, even though there's another industry attached to it, but the main industry here is the grain elevator. There's also a storage track for other stuff, usually on this end of the layout. And here is another industry which serves mostly gondola cars. Although grain cars do fit underneath this area, which allows for 14 grain cars to be allowed onto this spur at a time. The entire layout is freelance. It's not based on any one prototypical area. Even though it's primarily modeled as Burlington Northern or Duluth, Winnipeg, and Pacific, there is no specific area that this layout is representing. And one of the beauties of model railroading is you can use your imagination and create any scene that you want. In the future, I would personally like to create a more mountainous railroad with lots of pine trees and mountains, maybe in the future, and with some learning and skill building. For now, this is more of the basics and more in the get it so I can run it and enjoy it type of thing. Down here is the programming track for locomotives and the controller, which is a Digitrax DCS51 control system. This has been the main controls for the layout for the last 5 years now. Hoping to upgrade to a different system. What that is, I have not yet determined. But this is how the layout operates today. This old rail power control system, which is standard DC, is the biggest system I used prior to converting to the Digitrax system. And it is more or less used to power some of the lighted objects that I have not connected to the DCC system yet. Prototypically, the layout is mostly based in the early 1970s as far as motive power and rail equipment is concerned. However, there is some more modern equipment, not diesels of course, but more modern freight cars and passenger cars. This is the freight side. Most of the freight cars and locomotives are on this side underneath. On this side is also freight, and then on this side of this end is the passenger side, which has a whole bunch of different passenger cars from Burlington Northern to Amtrak, Soo Line, Milwaukee Road, and a bunch of others, including Union Pacific, New York Central, and Wabash and Rock Island, as well as passenger motive power, including steam engines. Milwaukee Road 261 the bottom right, Amtrak FP7s, Soo FP7s, the North Star set, and over here a couple of Great Northern steam engines. In depth of the scenes now is the Shell gas station and the downtown street. Imagination would have more buildings going off into the distance. And then of course the Route 22 diner with daily specials. Future hoping to place some standard crossbucks like on the other side there. In fact, all this crossings, being 2 in all at this point, 3 in all, 2 on the main line and 1 on the spur, will have crossbucks instead of actual lighted signals. The main reason for this is because the signals would have to be drilled in, and presently the crossings are all placed on top of drawers, which would get messed up with the wiring. So for now, it'll just be standard crossbucks. In a future, probably layout design, this will be years from now, have more lights and special effects. But for now, It's pretty standard as a layout goes. In this unnamed town, small town, it originally did not have a depot. There is now a depot, which makes a great scene, along with the billboard. Across the street is Kentucky Fried Chicken and the schoolhouse. And across the spur track is the Red Owl State gas station, Red Owl food store and gas station. Across the street from there. And then down the access road is the Whistle Stop station, and then the Megawatts transformer manufacturer, as visited earlier. As far as what this corner is going to be, probably more buildings and town stuff, or a hill. It's quite sure. This is an unfinished part that's not seen very much in any video. For now, there is a yard office tower which has a separate BN sign attached to it that lights up. It's actually a Santa Fe tower. This is the main station that used to be a Union station at the old city at one point before the Amtrak station replaced it. Then it was moved to the countryside. And next door to it is the donut shop. This angle you'll see the 3 tracks here, which is the most populated area for trains anyway, and most scenic as far as trees are concerned. As it comes together then to one main here, and then the spur meets the main here. There are 4 curved turnouts in the layout, 2 of each direction, 2 going off towards the right and 2 going off towards the left. This one goes off to the right and goes into the siding, which can hold about 10 cars depending on their size. And the other turnout on this end. All the turnouts are thrown by hand. There are no motoring to do them. And that's pretty much it for the tour. Thanks for watching.